Amazon was about to be wiped off the face of the internet. The stock had crashed from $113 to just $6. The company was hemorrhaging money, and experts were calling it Amazon.bomb. Wall Street had declared it a failure. Investors were pulling out. Employees were abandoning ship. In chaos, Jeff Bezos sat in the darkness of his office, staring at a letter that would decide the future of everything he had worked for. A letter that would determine whether Amazon would live or die. In 1994, a young man in his garage had promised to build the world's biggest bookstore. Just 7 years later, that same man was staring at the ruins of his empire. What happened next would change the business world forever. But how did it come to this? Before we reveal how Bezos saved Amazon from the brink of collapse, let's rewind a bit, because the man behind Amazon wasn't always the tech mogul we know today. His journey, filled with failures and unlikely twists, started long before Amazon became the global empire it is now. Jeffrey Preston Bezos wasn't born into wealth. In fact, his mother was just a teenager when she had him. His biological father, a struggling unicyclist and circus performer, abandoned the family before Jeff even turned 2. But fate had other plans. Mike Bezos had arrived in America alone, as a refugee with nothing. He worked his way through college, eventually landing a job as an engineer at Exxon. He taught Jeff to work very hard and to never give up. Jeff learned to believe that he could overcome any challenge, no matter how difficult it was. As a child, Bezos was not just playing with toys for fun. He wanted to understand how they worked. While other kids were riding bikes, he was taking them apart to see how they functioned. While his friends watched cartoons, he was reading books about space and technology. He was very curious and loved learning about how things worked. By the age of 10, Bezos had already decided his future. He wanted to build a colony in space. Jeff Bezos wasn't just ambitious. He was thinking light years ahead. He was mapping out his path to success, a path that led him straight to Princeton University. At just 30 years old, Bezos was already making 6 figures. He was one of the brightest minds on Wall Street, but one day, he stumbled upon a report that made his heart race. The internet was growing at an unprecedented rate, 2,300% per year. Bezos understood something important that others didn't notice. He saw that this was not just a temporary change, but a big, long-lasting transformation. Bezos had a comfortable life, a high-paying job, but in that moment, he knew he had to leave it all behind. It had begun. After months of planning, Amazon.com had just received its very first order, a book titled Fluid Concepts and Creative Analogies. Just months earlier, Bezos had stood in his Wall Street office trying to explain to his boss why he was leaving a 6-figure job to start an online bookstore. His boss listened carefully, and then said something that haunted Bezos for years. "That sounds like a great idea for someone who doesn't already have a good job." But Bezos wasn't chasing job security. He was chasing something far bigger. And in July of 1995, Amazon.com officially launched with one simple mission: to become Earth's biggest bookstore. At first, it was a slow trickle. But soon, Amazon was receiving orders from every U.S. state, and then from 45 different countries. The business was exploding, but with success came its first major challenge. Barnes & Noble was furious. This tiny startup was calling itself the world's largest bookstore, a title that legally didn't belong to them. So Barnes & Noble did what any billion-dollar company would do to an upstart competitor. They sued. Instead of backing down, Bezos did the unthinkable. Bezos' legal team argued that Amazon didn't have 4 walls. It wasn't a store, it was a new kind of marketplace. And after months of legal battles, the lawsuit was settled out of court. Amazon could keep its tagline, but the war was far from over, because Bezos was about to face a threat even bigger than Barnes & Noble: Walmart. In 1998, Amazon made a move that sent shockwaves through the retail world. They had secretly poached high-level Walmart executives to help them build something bigger than books. And when Walmart found out, they declared war. The accusation that Amazon had hired Walmart's former executives and was using their knowledge of supply chains to build a direct competitor. Amazon denied everything, but behind closed doors, Bezos was working on something far bigger than books. Jeff Bezos was about to bet Amazon's entire future on a single idea. If it worked, Amazon would become unstoppable, but if it failed, it would bankrupt the company. By 1999, Amazon was making hundreds of millions in sales. But there was a problem. Amazon wasn't making any money. In fact, it was losing millions every single year. Investors had started asking an uncomfortable question. Was Amazon just another overhyped .com destined to fail? Amazon is in trouble. The company is burning through cash at an alarming rate. The stock is dangerously overvalued. Some are even calling it Amazon.bomb. Bezos made a shocking decision. Instead of just selling products itself, Amazon would allow third-party sellers, including its own competitors, to list their products on Amazon's website. To Bezos, it made perfect sense. He wasn't trying to be just another retailer. He wanted Amazon to be the marketplace, the place where customers could find anything. While other retailers were stuck in a winner-takes-all mentality, Bezos was thinking bigger. At first, it was a slow start, but within months, third-party sales skyrocketed. Amazon was making money without even touching inventory. And by 2006, third-party sellers accounted for 28% of Amazon's total sales. Fast forward to today, over 60% of all Amazon purchases come from third-party sellers, generating hundreds of billions in revenue. But just as Amazon was beginning to thrive, disaster struck. Then came the .com crash. Investors panicked. Tech companies were going bankrupt overnight. And Amazon? It was on life support. For the first time in Amazon's history, Bezos had to make brutal cuts. Hundreds of employees were let go. Expansion plans were halted. Survival became the only priority. Wall Street was convinced Amazon wouldn't make it. One analyst famously said, "Amazon is just another .com that will disappear." Because while everyone thought Amazon was dying, Bezos was secretly building something that would become the company's most profitable division. Amazon was still struggling. The .com crash had wiped out most of its competitors. Investors had lost faith. But behind closed doors, Bezos and his team were working on something radical, a new technology that, if successful, would not only save Amazon. Amazon had been running into a problem. Every time they had a spike in website traffic, their servers struggled to keep up. Engineers were scrambling to fix crashes and outages. Then he realized Amazon had built one of the most advanced cloud computing infrastructures in the world, and they could sell it. Instead of just using this technology for themselves, Bezos wanted to rent it out to other businesses. The idea? Companies could store data, run applications, and scale their operations without ever needing their own physical servers. It was revolutionary. In 2006, Amazon Web Services quietly launched. At first, no one paid much attention. But behind the scenes, tech startups were taking notice. Companies like Airbnb, Netflix, and Dropbox saw the potential. They started using AWS to power their businesses, and they exploded in growth. It was becoming the backbone of the entire internet. By 2010, AWS was growing faster than anyone had predicted. Massive corporations like NASA, Samsung, and even the CIA started relying on Amazon's cloud services. Today, over 30% of the world's internet traffic runs on AWS. That means every time you watch Netflix, send an email, or even browse a website, there's a good chance it's powered by Amazon. While Amazon's retail business was barely breaking even, AWS was printing money. By 2015, AWS was generating billions in profits. This was Bezos's real strategy. While Walmart and Target were trying to compete with Amazon's retail business, they didn't realize Amazon was playing a different game altogether. In 2023 alone, AWS generated $80 billion in revenue, more than McDonald's, Starbucks, and Coca-Cola combined. This meant Amazon could sell products at razor-thin margins, or even at a loss, while still growing stronger. It was a monopoly in the making. Mr. Bezos, is Amazon a monopoly? For years, Amazon had been unstoppable. But now, it was facing its biggest battle yet. From exploiting workers to crushing small businesses, from dodging taxes to selling counterfeit products, it had become the most ruthless corporation on the planet. Behind Amazon's promise of fast and free delivery was a brutal reality, one that workers described as a high-tech sweatshop. Employees were tracked, timed, and punished for the slightest delay. And some? They were collapsing from exhaustion. A 2021 study found that Amazon warehouse workers suffer serious injuries twice as often as the industry average. In some cases, employees reported skipping bathroom breaks just to meet their quotas. They track every second of our movement. If you stop for too long, you get a warning. If you get too many warnings, you're fired. For years, Amazon had been accused of crushing its competition. But in 2020, the U.S. government finally launched an official investigation. We built our business on Amazon, but one day, our sales suddenly dropped. Then we found out Amazon had launched its own version of our product at a lower price. We never stood a chance. According to whistleblowers, Amazon had a secret weapon: data. It allegedly used internal sales data from third-party sellers to identify the most profitable products, and then launched its own versions to undercut them. A 2020 report from the House Judiciary Committee found multiple cases where Amazon allegedly copied products from its own sellers and manipulated search rankings to push them out of business. Mr. Bezos, does Amazon use third-party seller data to compete against those very sellers? I can't guarantee that policy has never been violated. Amazon wasn't just accused of crushing small businesses, it was accused of flooding its marketplace with counterfeit goods. In 2019, Nike pulled all of its products from Amazon, citing an out-of-control counterfeit problem. Other major brands like Birkenstock and Rolex followed. Amazon claimed it was fighting counterfeits, but internal reports showed a different story. Thousands of fake products were still being sold on the platform every single day. In 2021 alone, Amazon destroyed over 2 million counterfeit products. But many wondered, why were they being sold in the first place? And then, in 2021, just as Amazon was facing the most scrutiny in its history, Jeff Bezos walked away. After 27 years, he stepped down as CEO. With a personal fortune of $200 billion, Bezos had conquered Earth's biggest marketplace. Now, he was setting his sights on the stars. But for Amazon, the battle was far from over. Amazon is no longer just a retail company. It's a tech powerhouse, a logistics giant, a media empire, and maybe, just maybe, the future ruler of commerce itself. But as it pushes into new industries, one question remains: how far will it go? Amazon's next big move? Eliminating friction. In 2018, it launched Amazon Go, a cashierless convenience store powered by AI and computer vision. The result? No waiting, no checkout, no human interaction. Imagine a world where you never have to stand in line again. Amazon's goal is to automate every part of the shopping experience, from the warehouse to your doorstep. Over 750,000 robots now work in Amazon warehouses, and experts predict that, within a decade, most warehouse jobs could be fully automated. While Amazon sees automation as the future, critics argue that it could trigger one of the largest job losses in modern history. In 2023, Amazon made a bold move. It launched Amazon Clinic, a telehealth service offering virtual doctor visits at record low prices. Think about this. Over 150 million Americans are Prime members. If Amazon can convert even a fraction of them into healthcare customers, it could disrupt an industry worth over $4 trillion. But Amazon wasn't stopping at telehealth. It bought One Medical, giving it direct access to physical healthcare facilities across the U.S. Imagine this. Your prescriptions are automatically refilled through Amazon Pharmacy. Your doctor appointments are booked through Alexa. Your medical records are stored in Amazon's cloud. Sounds convenient, right? Or is it dangerous? Amazon already knows what you buy, what you watch, where you live. Now, they want your medical history too? Jeff Bezos may have stepped down as CEO, but his ambitions for Amazon? They're bigger than ever, because now he wants to control the internet from space. In 2019, Amazon announced Project Kuiper, a plan to launch over 3,200 satellites to provide high-speed internet to the entire planet. This could bring the internet to millions of people who have never had access before. But there's a catch. Whoever controls the satellites controls the internet. Amazon isn't the only one racing to dominate the skies. Elon Musk's Starlink and Google-backed OneWeb are also competing for orbital supremacy. So, will Bezos's vision of a connected world make the internet more accessible? Or is this the start of a new kind of corporate monopoly? Amazon is no longer just an e-commerce giant. It's a trillion-dollar empire shaping the future of AI, automation, healthcare, and even space. But the question we must ask is Amazon making life better? Or is it becoming too powerful to stop? What do you think? Is Amazon the greatest business success story in history? Or is it the most dangerous monopoly we've ever seen? Let us know in the comments. If you liked this video, subscribe to our channel for informative and engaging content.